I'm Igor from MobileSyrup, Senior Editor here. Today we're going to talk about the Moto Z, Motorola's latest flagship smartphone. It was announced back at Lenovo Tech World in June, and it's an interesting phone for a number of reasons, which we'll get into, but let's start with the phone itself. There's a lot to unpack with this device, so let's start with the phone itself. First, it must be said the Moto Z is an incredibly thin device, so much so that it may be too thin actually. Due to its slender profile and angular signs, I found it to be uncomfortable to hold, though the style shells, more on those later, help solve that problem. Second, like Apple's new pair of iPhones, the Moto Z does not have a 3.5mm headphone jack. Motorola's decision to drop the headphone jack is somewhat more understandable given that this is the world's thinnest smartphone, and unlike the iPhone, which has a Lightning port, this has a USB-C port, which it's kind of easy to see a future where USB-C is ubiquitous and everyone has a pair of headphones that works with all their USB-C devices. In the meantime, the Moto Z includes a USB-C to 3.5mm headphone jack adapter. The included dongle looks silly, and while I didn't lose my during the time with the phone, there were more than a few occasions where I spent a couple minutes frantically searching for the adapter, fearing I had lost it. Still, it gets the job done. That said, the Moto Z is an otherwise fantastic device. Despite its diminutive size, the aircraft-grade aluminum outer case feels well made and sturdy. In terms of design, some may be off-put by its large camera bump and fingerprint-prone outer casing, but I found the Moto Z to be an attractive device. I would have preferred had Motorola placed the fingerprint sensor, which is on the front of the device, on the back of it. But given that this would have complicated the design and execution of the Moto mods, it's understandable that the company decided to put it on the front. That said, the sensor works well, it's fast, and it generally recognizes your fingerprints without issue. Though if you've ever used a OnePlus 3, you will get some false positives when it's in your pocket. Meanwhile, the 5.5-inch AMOLED QHD display is pretty good to look at. The one issue is that it is nearly not bright enough. If you're outside, you will have issues reading the device. But that said, when I was looking at photos on apps like 500 pixels and Instagram, it was really gorgeous to look at those photos. Battery performance is similarly impressive, especially for a phone of this size with this type of hardware. The 2600 mAh battery tends to last about 30 hours on a single charge, which should get you through most of the day and into the evening. The turbocharge charger, which is included with every single Moto Z, is really fast. In most cases, I was able to get about a full charge within less than an hour. From a camera perspective, while the Moto Z doesn't have a camera that's as impressive as what we've seen on the HTC 10 and Galaxy S7, it can still take great shots. There's no startup lag when you're booting up the camera, and there's also very little shutter lag, and you can still take really impressive shots even in less than ideal lighting situations. Let's touch base on specs. The Moto Z ships with a Snapdragon 820 processor, 4GB of RAM, and 32 or 64GB of internal storage. You also have a micro SD card slot where you can add up to 2 TB of additional storage should you choose to. With Motorola's clean skin on top of Android Marshmallow, I didn't encounter any performance issue. The phone handled all my daily tasks with ease, switching between apps was fast, and there was not a single app that the Moto Z couldn't handle. Speaking of software, while Motorola's Android skin remains unencumbered, there are some cause for concerns. First, the company hasn't announced when the phone will be updated to Android Nugget, the latest release of Android. And second, the company has moved away from a monthly security update schedule. This means your security updates, which used to come every month, will instead come every couple of months as a part of bundled updates. Of course, when it comes to the Moto Z, the phone itself is only half the story. The Moto mods, which are modular accessories that you can buy to add additional functionality or change the look and feel of the phone, are a very important part of this phone's story. Motorola categorizes the Moto mods into two groups. First, there are the style shells. These snap onto the back of the device and change the look and feel of it. In Canada, every Moto Z comes with the charcoal ash style cover. It looks like it came from a walnut tree. They look great and cost about $29.99. Next, there are the functional mods. Like their name suggests, they change or enhance the functionality of the phone. In Canada, we're set to get all the currently available ones. Motorola, it must be said, has absolutely nailed the execution of the Moto mods. There's no pairing process, there's no software to download. You simply snap the mod onto the back of the phone and you're good to go. That said, I question whether it makes sense for consumers to buy these mods. For the same price of the JBL Sound Boost Moto mod, you can get a Bluetooth speaker that works with all of your devices. Sure, it doesn't act as an extra battery, and the pairing process will be more complicated, but it's something that you can work with any device you have at home. So there you have it. That's our review of the Moto Z. Please remember that this is just a short video review, and if you want to check out the full written review, visit MobileSyrup.com. Also, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Tell us what you think of the Moto Z. I'm Igor Bonifacic with MobileSyrup, signing out.